His eyes were a dark color, and they held all truth within them. They they were dark. I couldn't describe the actual color because it was truly like the window to his soul, to his essence. It was everything: Genesis, the beginning, the end, all encompassing, all the wonders of creation and galaxies, all within these dark eyes. And as he approached me, I'm like, it's Jesus. Of course, it's Jesus, right? Love was the substance of all of heaven. It just was saturating through every experience, every moment, every particle that was there, every creative being, which, we think that it's us and angels, but there are these magnificent, indescribable other worldlies out there, other beings.
This is Beyond with Heather Tesch, where we examine near-death experiences and life itself, hopefully making this life a little better. Hello, I am so glad you're here today. My guest has one of the most phenomenal near-death experiences I have ever heard. Her name is Ruthellen Davison Carlton. I wish I could convey how much I think you'll enjoy this. I want to say truly it is worth your time. Watch it. But I know that's up to you. So I'm just going to lay that out there. This is a 4-part series, and it's because there is so much detail of what she saw in the heavenly realm. It's truly incredible. So this is part 2. I will have a link to part 1, and also you'll find links to 3 and 4 or release dates in the description. Very easy to find. But right now, let's jump in where we left off in part 1.
I call them flutterflies because I cannot tell you what they were, but they were little being things that flew. There were butterflies and familiar creatures, but these were these little flying things that were all around, twinkling and sparkling, and everything seemed to be an adoration and giving honor to this being and joyfully singing. And then he raised his arms up and like his own praise and worship. And he just started swaying. And I'm back here looking at him, and I just wanted to be with him. I wanted to be holding his hand. I wanted to press up against him and feel him around me. And as he is waving his arms and praising and swaying, and he starts undulating and starts dancing, he brings his one leg up and the next leg up. And I would say it wasn't like going to a ballet or watching Dancing with Stars. It was not like that perfection, or it was the essence of freedom. He was so unabashedly unconcerned with what anyone would think of him. And then this took place for a while. And then suddenly, at some point during the dance, his hat flew off. And he had this dark hair and wavy, and he fell down, like laid down, just dropped. And I was like, oh gosh, where'd he go? Where is he? Where is he? And I'm not sure what was taking place for him there, but suddenly everything was beyond three-dimensional, quantum physics at its height. And everything was like a 360 viewpoint. So I was like back here, experiencing him fall, like laying himself down. But then suddenly I was right there over like lingering over him. And, but then I was back here. And at one point he popped up and he just stared at me and started coming my way, and I started going his way. And yet in all of that, we were already face to face. Every step he took with his cowboy boots, life propagated, and a lot of them were flowers and these vines that were just intertwined with beauty, with gems and opals and pearls and delicate scrolling. Oftentimes I think on like we look at these flowers and we look at the center of them and the core, and they look like little beings themselves. Even here on earth, you look at them and like, oh, I think I see a face there. It was like that, but once again on steroids. They actually were like their own little beings. And as he drew closer and closer, my heart just was just beating so fast at the thought of him. And his eyes were dark color, and they held all truth within them. They were dark. I couldn't describe the actual color because it was truly like the window to his soul, to his essence. It was everything: Genesis, the beginning, the end, all encompassing, all the wonders of creation and galaxies, all within these dark eyes. And as he approached me, I'm like, it's Jesus. Of course, it's Jesus, right? And so captivating. And then he invited me to go sit with him near a mound of like hay or straw. And we leaned up against it. And before that, as his heels struck the ground, I could see underneath like the cuff of his, I like to say they were Levi's. He had jeans on, but I'm a Levi girl. So since he knows everything about us, I'm assuming it would be Levi's. But they were rolled up, and I saw the spur on the back of his boot. And there was these light beams coming off of them. Light was being bent. And when his foot struck, and then before the flowers propagated, there was like these just intense waves of light going out from that little spoke. So when we were sitting next to each other, we were cuddled really close, very intimate, like you would a lover, and or a very best friend. nothing between us at all, and no judgment, just harmony. And he put he crossed his legs, and I saw the boot, and it was gray toned, kind of with black and a little bit of a lighter white, and it was shimmery and alive. And I just was looking at it like, what is this? These cowboy boots are made of something that is also alive. And I felt a little bit of what I only can say in earthen words in English would be fear. But it wasn't like afraid of my welfare. It wasn't anything like that, but just a little bit of unknowing what this could be. And he told me not to worry, that it was made out of the snake skin that he defeated and took victory over from the very beginning of time, but on earth at a certain point in time, and that could no longer do any harm to me. And then in the book I say heavenly discourse, and then I just leave it at that. Almost every story in the book about heaven has a little deeper parts of it. And when I was writing, I asked, what should I entail here so as not to stop people from reading, so that they would continue? Because what he did, that heavenly discourse, was all of the universe, all of the galaxies and the cosmos coming into me by way of him putting his mouth over my nose and my mouth and breathing into me. It was the best kiss I have ever had. And it's not perverted. It wasn't anything wrong. It was the most beautiful thing. It was as if he breathed his whole essence into me, and he absorbed all of me into him. And in that, he brought us on this heavenly adventure of just showing me all of the galaxies and all of the wonders of the earth. And that language may sound wrong, but it was indeed so filled with ecstasy and such beauty and life. It was a life-giving kiss. Yeah. And then we were there. I don't know how long this journey was. It is outside of time. Time is a part of the timeline of eternity, but it was outside of, there was not really time there. Things seemed elongated and compressed at the same moment. But after that took place, there was this little bit of shaking over off in front of me, and I started seeing this crimson like flower start to enlarge and become quite gigantic, and I was pulled to it. Its fragrance was drawing me near, and so I went to explore it, knowing that he was still right here, and that with that experience of the oneness of being breathed into, I knew like I beheld him, and I moved forward, and I was so captivated by it because this particular flower had this crimson, and inside of it there were like little drops of honey nectar that had healing at power, and there were little like sparks of light, like little stars just popping out of it, just from the core of it. And it had this embossing, spiral embossing on the vines, and a little budlets popping off of life, and it was so captivating. But then I had this sense of this rumbling, this little bit of shaking, and I looked back to see that he was still back here, but there was this um, splitting off of the two orbs or the two rooms, and the one area I was in started enclosing around me and enclosing around him, and I thought we were separated, but we weren't. Because again, that reminder that he never leaves. And on this journey and this particular portion of that orb, I was able to experience such wonders of heaven, such, um, there was a reconciliation at one point of something that took place in my past. Um, and there were beings that were not like us, were not like human being forms. There were familiar beings. It was as if I walked into the presence of a welcoming committee of heaven. Um, the magnitude of energy and frequency, the vibrations, and the light strobes and colorations coming off of things was, I can't even describe it. And reaching out towards me, going in through me, wrapping around, spinning and swirling. And um, there was this one being that had a human shape, and inside of different areas of it, here and here and here and here, throughout, not so much the limb area, but the central core area, had different glass like globes, or like almost like lockets, and inside of those held storylines of their lives. And there was another being that was just like the cosmos. It had a form to it, but it was like the galaxies, just all light everywhere, light just radiating out, little dots all over of celestial galaxies and stars, and um, there were forms that I didn't recognize. Um, there was this, and the rational mind back on Earth is trying to make sense. But, some things we don't have, when we come back, we don't have full privy to anymore. It's just the recall of how extravagant love is, to allow this glorious experience, because love was the substance of all of heaven. It just was saturating through every experience, every moment, every particle that was there, every creative being, which, we think that it's us and angels, but there are these magnificent, indescribable other worldlies out there, other beings. And this one, I don't know if it was the totality of it, or if it was the actual fullness of this being, but it was like a horn protruding out. And once again, there was just this scrolling care of a master taking taking his time to bring out beauty from within what that being stands for. And just these little carvings within this horn-like shape, and inlaid with gems, that some type of stones that I wouldn't even know how to, what their names are, but there were diamonds and rubies and just beauty. And in my earthen mind, I'm like, was that a scepter? Some being behind holding out a scepter to me, or was that a unicorn's horn? But you could tell that the majesty of the creator was very detailed, and the intricacy of it took love and care. There was this fire, I couldn't see. I say it's a shadow because all I could see was these bursts of fire coming out of this particular area. And it was just shooting off fire, and the fire got caught up with this current, and like a wind current, and it would take these fireballs and kind of move them and push them out. And again, I have no idea what that was, but they weren't harmful flames. It was all warmth. It was all comfort and life.
Let's pause here because
Okay.
I know that you have so much more to tell.
Yeah.
And I know that there are still some things that are completely mind-blowing coming up, but let's take that into the next episode.
Okay, thank you.
So much we covered in part 1 and part 2. And there is still more to her story and more that she saw and experienced. So here is a look at what's ahead.
There were like balconies upon balconies of areas filled with books. They were books from the beginning to throughout eternity, and it was vast and immense, and so I called a book out, and it came here and folded open. It displayed all of the triumphs, all of the victories, all of the goodness, all of the laughter, all encompassed in this memoir of every human being on earth throughout the fullness of time. Suddenly they were right there before me. And they, I knew them absolutely without a doubt, knew they were mine. They had they were light. And as I experienced them, the light started to transform into human figures. And they were twins. And they were, to my vision, about 13 years old. That would correspond to what happened on Earth 13 years prior to my near-death experience.
That and much more is coming up. What did you think so far? I mean, she talked about so many amazing things, and she really does dig into the detail, which I just love. I love hearing about the Flutterflies. And, she also talked about this kiss. And I know that's going to throw some of you off. He was breathing life into her. And in the Q&A in part 4, we actually cover that more. And I think that'll explain it a little bit as to how this is just a completely innocent thing and how it just really was something special. So share your thoughts. What did you think about that? Or what did you think about some of the other things? I just love hearing about the orbs and all these other things. And I would love to know what stood out to you. What was your big wow moment? Or was everything your wow moment? Share that in the comments. And if you prefer just to say, I made it, that is wonderful as well. I'm just so grateful for all those comments. That's how YouTube works. It needs the comments to keep sending this out. So if you want to keep getting my channel and getting my episodes sent out there, then please leave a comment. And those likes, just as important. And I appreciate all those of you that are subscribing, because that's important too. And welcome everybody if you're new to my channel. I hope you'll keep checking it out. Remember, I will have links in the description to the other episodes. I always have links and release dates, all of that in the description. Very easy to find. So please check that out. Also, there will always be links to my guest and how you can find information on them or on their book, that sort of thing. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm telling you, you need to come back for the next 2 episodes because there's some really good stuff ahead. See you there. Thanks for joining me on Beyond with Heather Tesch. Please add comments and questions you'd like future guests to answer. Also, if you liked what you heard, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. That'll help keep this podcast going. You can also go to Beyond with Heather Tesch to look for more episodes.